Hi, my name is Tracy McMullen, and I'm excited to talk about Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, assessing your planning application. Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, you guys have all seen the movie. If your planning application were to look into the magic mirror and ask, who is the fairest of them all, what do you think the magic mirror would say? Would you be Snow White, the absolute fairest of them all? Or might you be the witch or evil queen with the warts on their nose and maybe not quite as attractive and beautiful as you would like it to be? We're going to talk about what are the things that you can look at in your planning environment, your planning applications, on how to improve the budgeting and forecasting process, how to improve the experience for the end users, and improve some of the steps that you're doing from a maintenance perspective. So where do you start? Well, we need to look at the versions that you're on and the hardware. You need to understand Oracle's strategic direction forward. You need to make sure you understand all of the new features. Once you've upgraded to the recent versions, are you taking advantage of those new features? Taking a look at your application design, doing some tuning and optimizing steps, making sure how you're maintaining all of the metadata within your planning application is the best way to do so, looking at data integration, overall administration, and then finally end user training and support. So there are a lot of places and areas that you can look at to optimize and really make sure that you've got your planning application running as best as possible. To start with, you want to ask a lot of honest questions, and you want to ask all of the stakeholders involved in the budgeting and forecasting process. So that means your end users, your finance and accounting and the budget office, and the administrators. You want to ask them, what are the good things? What are the pain points? And then also, what else could we be doing that we don't even know is possible? So you don't want to get stuck in the rut. You want to make sure that you're expanding on new ideas and thinking about new ways of doing things. Some of the questions of should I upgrade and what release am I on? How long do I usually take in between my upgrades? We'll also talk about Oracle's strategy going forward. What's the future of ODI with planning and HFM? What's the future of the outline load utility? Should I use DRM versus EPMA? Is EPMA going away? So there's a lot of kind of open questions to make sure that how you've designed your application and how you're supporting your application is in line with Oracle strategy. What are the new features in planning? There have been a ton of new features through the versions, and most recently in the 11.124 version. So we'll talk about some of those key new features and making sure that you understand them and what are the steps that you can take to learn more about these features and implement these features in your budgeting and forecasting environment. We also want to look at your underlying application design. There have been a lot of changes with these recent versions and how you're using the underlying plan types, whether it's a BSO plan type, which is what we've historically done, ASO plan type, or the new hybrid aggregation cube. And so we'll talk about which plan types we can be using and the pros and cons of each of those. Out-of-the-box design for flexibility. So again, with the new features in planning, there's a lot of new ways to capture data and present data for end users and have them interact with the data. So it's not just a dimension. We have smart lists, we have attribute dimensions, we have free-form text, and there's a lot of creativity that you can build into your application to make it really easy for the end users to do their budgeting and forecasting process. There are a lot of different ways to tune and optimize. Are you going to be tuning for your end users? Are you tuning for batch processes? We'll talk through some of the tips and tricks for tuning and optimizing your application. There are lots of different ways to design your applications. And a lot of times what we find is we may have a very simple interface for the end users, but under the covers, it's a little more complex. Or sometimes it's pretty simple under the covers, but it may not be as user-friendly. So what's that right balance for you in your environment, helping to determine what's going to make the most sense and have the best, most efficient application for you and your users? What tools are you using for metadata maintenance, and can we make that a more streamlined process? So am I using the planning dimension editor in SmartView, which is a new feature? Am I using the outline load utility? I'm using ODI, but I'm considering switching away. So we'll talk through some of the questions around metadata maintenance. You also want to make sure that you've got constant communication going on with your stakeholders. So not just the budget office or FP&A, but the actual end users themselves. You also want to make sure that you're in line with the monthly reporting group as well. What training, taking a look at what training is in place for end users. When was it last updated? Have I updated it for some of the new end user features that are available? So again, mirror, mirror on the wall, you can be the fairest of them all.